Hi guys, Iron Cameraman here. Crazy as it sounds, we already have 7 spoilers for episode 79. So it turns out Mr. Boom's promise to release it this month wasn't a joke after all. And what's more, we can now roughly guess the release date. Plus we know how many parts the new episode will have. But along with the spoilers came even more important questions. Like, are the cameramen facing serious danger? Is the speaker titan coming back? And what secret weapon was Toilet talking about? I'll be answering all of that in today's video, so make sure you watch until the end. And hey, don't forget to drop a like if you don't want this face showing up in your nightmares. Anyway, here we go. First fact, when someone directly asked about the release date on April 24th, Mr. Boom replied with a like, which basically confirmed that episode 79 is dropping in May. Second fact, episode 79 won't be released all at once. It's officially going to be split into parts. Mr. Boom confirmed this himself with the release of Part 1 spoilers on his social media. Third fact, Mr. Boom replied to a fan's email and revealed some important details about episode 79's production. He said that episode 78 took longer than expected because he had to redo parts of it, but now he has a clearer idea of what he can delegate to the team and what he should handle himself. So episode 79 shouldn't take as long. Based on all of that, I'm guessing episode 79 will be around 6 to 8 minutes long and could drop as early as next weekend, somewhere between May 16th and 18th. But realistically, I think the more likely release window is the following weekend, between May 24th and 25th. That just makes more sense. 4.5 weeks seems like a reasonable time frame for making a new episode with updated and more complex animation, especially after how demanding episode 78 was. Boom probably needed some rest afterward. So worst case, we might be looking at a release around May 30th or June 1st, still keeping the promise of releasing before the end of May. Let's start with the biggest spoiler, and trust me, what I discovered here is going to blow your mind just like it did mine. You're not ready for this. So, the Duchess is sitting at the cameraman base.
Huh?
Yeah, if you brighten up the shot, you can clearly see it. And here's the thing, her surroundings match assets that have only ever appeared at the cameraman base throughout the series, like the building she's sitting on and the iconic spires. That explains a lot, like her crazed, ecstatic expression after discovering and wiping out an entire enemy base, and also why the cameramen were so battered. After that failed counterattack in episode 77, they barely made it out alive. They wouldn't have just charged in again, which is exactly why, in episode 78, we only saw a small rescue team backed up by the TV men, who were ready to teleport everyone out at any second. Actually, in episode 77, we did see Orbital and Strider-style cameramen at that base. That's when the Skibidi showed up too. And we've already seen joint projects between the cameramen and Skibidi, like Hugo's upgrade. So it's very possible that Burrs and the Mafia were also upgraded there. Or maybe they just showed up as support, like Kleiner in the scientist's mech suit. The fact that Kleiner was already repaired and upgraded before the Skibidi even arrived at the cameraman base suggests that Alpha Hills, or another facility, is still under Skibidi control. So what does all this mean? First, it means the Astros aren't just fighting cameramen at the base, they're fighting Skibidis too, since some of them are hiding out there. Second, it means more Skibidis from other bases might show up to help, including a now fully upgraded Toilet. The problem is there's no real communication between the Skibidi Toilets and the cameramen outside the base. When the alliance was formed, they didn't have time to properly sync. That's why Toilet only found out about the TV Titan being captured through the Astros, specifically from Juggernaut. But the Skibidis inside the base must have some way of contacting the ones outside. After all, they coordinated their rescue effort, right? That brings up another problem: distance. Last time we saw the Skibidis, including those at the cameraman base, they weren't equipped with Astro-grade hyperdrives. It's unlikely many of them received upgrades on the same level as the Speaker Armada in such a short time. However, the Speaker Armada does have hyperdrives, so they could back up the cameramen. But the thing is, they're already fighting the Astros elsewhere, and not all Speakermen have hyperdrives. For example, Speaker Woman doesn't have a ring on her back, so the Armada can't just abandon their own forces to help the cameraman. But who said that was the entire Armada? Let's not forget about the Speaker Titan. In my last theory video, I predicted that Speaker Titan 3.0 will return in episode 79. That's backed up by a recent teaser puzzle called Where is the Speaker Titan? With him right in the center, plus the fact that the Armada launched a counterattack without their Titan. The Speakermen wouldn't make the same mistake the Cameramen did, and they definitely wouldn't try to bait the Astros using a giant laser in the sky without having something big up their sleeve. Some people pushed back on this theory, saying that G-Toilet was easier to repair and already had upgrades ready. But here's my counter. First, G-Toilet's damage was just as critical. Pretty much all of his gear was destroyed, and even his rocket boosters burned through the entire core just getting him back. Second, if the upgrades were really ready in advance, then why did he only get his arms back in episode 77? And why is he still missing legs based on the design plans? Third, his new laser weapons are Astrotech. He could only have gotten those after the Astro invasion. Now let's compare this to the Speaker Titan. Could the Speakermen have prepped spare parts for him, like new legs or speaker arms? Absolutely. We've already seen them deliver new wrist weapons to him in the field, which means they probably had parts stored back at their base. They may have learned from what happened to the Cameraman Titan, who lost his arm twice. As for the upgrades, do we really believe the Speakermen managed to upgrade an entire armada, including the Executor, but just forgot about their most powerful asset? Let's be real. The reason they're now able to repair and upgrade things so quickly is thanks to all the combat experience they've gained, plus the new tech samples they've recovered from the Astros. Let's not forget about the second Titan, the Cameraman Titan. In my previous video, I went over and expanded on a pretty convincing theory that he actually survived. And if that's true, then maybe he was repaired and upgraded by the secret agent or the PC men. If that's the case, he could show up to protect his teammates, just like he did back in episode 50. But for now, the more likely return is that of the Speaker Titan. Now, how did the Astros find the Cameraman base in the first place? Well, first of all, it hasn't really been a secret for a while. The Skibidis have already attacked it twice. In theory, the Astros could have captured and interrogated Skibidis until one of them finally spilled the location. Another possibility? Betrayal. And I've got 3 potential suspects for that. First up, Simp. Think about it. First, he was abandoned by his own fellow cameraman. Then he got ditched by his love interest, the TV woman. He watched a close comrade, Plunger Man, fall, the one who inspired everyone. And after all the endless losses in this war, first against the Skibidis and now the Astros, Simp might have just completely lost hope. He could have decided to take himself out and take down the people who left him behind. Honestly, that sounds like a pretty solid motive. Second candidate, the TV man. You all probably remember how he once warned the cameramen, "You'll regret this." Could he have done it? I doubt it. The truth is, the TV men rely on the cameramen as their strike force. Losing them now, especially after the loss of their Titan, would be a disaster. And third, surprisingly, a Skibidi. Maybe the Astros recruited one of them as a spy, using either threats or bribes. That Skibidi could have evacuated alongside the others straight to the cameraman base, and then quietly passed along its location. When I say threats, I mean it literally, like a control collar that forces obedience. We've already seen how cunning the Astros can be with their brilliant plan to capture the TV Titan and destroy the TV men's base. And it mostly worked. Compared to that, recruiting a spy would be nothing. Could there be other explanations? Let's go over a few. For example, maybe the Astros just stumbled upon the base by accident. It's not impossible. They've been sweeping across the planet, leveling entire cities. But does that make sense story-wise? Not really. I mean, imagine how boring episode 77 would have been if the Astros just randomly found the TV men's base using Juggernaut's X-ray vision or something, spotting it underground. It's also possible that the base's location was exposed because of the TV Titan's capture. The TV men didn't shut off the transmission right away, after all. But honestly, from a story standpoint, that'd be a pretty boring explanation. Now let's talk about the final spoiler, a mysterious device labeled simply technology. Booms dropped similar teaser images before, like the doors that turned out to hide humans, the chair that ended up being the secret agentess, or the UFO's helmet that helped keep the TV Titan's portal open. I'm pretty sure this is another one of those hidden in plain sight reveals, the kind that only makes sense once we see it in the episode, but I'll still take a guess at what it could be. On the front, there's something that looks like a glass tube with energy flowing through it. The energy has a reddish-orange glow with occasional yellow sparks. It's hard to say who it belongs to. Maybe the Skibidis, maybe some lower-tier Astros. The more powerful Astros, like the Duchess or Juggernaut, tend to have much deeper, more intense reds, and we don't see that here. One of the spoiler files is labeled, nukes, which makes me think this could either be a nuclear reactor powering the Cameraman base or a bomb that's being charged up to blow. Since the Astros, even the mothership, rely on laser and energy weapons instead of bombs or missiles, I'd say this device was made by the Skibidis. Could this be the secret weapon G-Toilet was talking about? If it's a reactor, the Skibidis might overload it using their own energy the system isn't built to handle, and blow up the entire base the Astros have just found. That would make sense. It'd erase all stored footage from transmissions, which the Astros could have used to find other bases, reverse engineer equipment, or uncover weaknesses in the Alliance. And of course, the explosion could seriously damage or even wipe out any Astros still inside the base. So here's what I think episode 79 might look like. The TV men come back for Hugo and teleport him back to the Cameraman base. But as soon as they arrive, alarm bells. The base has been found. The Duchess and the Obliterators have already invaded, and the arrival of the mothership and the destruction of the base is now just a matter of time. The Cameramen and Skibidi Toilets at the base try to fight back, but they're losing. Just when things get desperate, reinforcements arrive. Either more Skibidis led by G-Man, or maybe the Speaker Titan himself. Together, they push the enemy back just long enough to start the evacuation. The Skibidi Toilets begin overloading the nuclear reactor, or charging the bomb. The TV men teleport everyone out, and finally, just as the mothership shows up, the reactor explodes. The base is gone. A few Astros go down with it, and the mothership, because of its massive size, takes some serious damage, at least to its main weapon. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. We've got more on the way. See you soon, friends.
The Skibidi Toilet Collection. Find it in stores and online at Walmart.